Bonjour, je m'appelle Reniac et ceci permettant de jouer Tintin au Tibet. Or, as we say in English, or as I say in English, hey folks, this is Reniac, welcoming you to Let's Play Tintin in Tibet. A man that is one happy rainbow-coloured armadillo. Just look at the grin on his face. That armadillo, by the way, that armadillo is a sign that we are going to enjoy a game of true quality. And there is no sarcasm in my voice whatsoever. I don't know what you're talking about. This is an extremely long, boring, and extremely slow crawling credit sequence. But it does allow me to basically mention that this game was ported over to several consoles, including the Game Boy Color, the Genesis, and even the PC. But this is a Super Nintendo version, because this is the version that I grew up with. This is the version that I had as a child. Let's just jump straight in, shall we? Now I should warn you people that this is going to have a fair amount of story in it, this game. And I'm going to kind of go through it at my own pace, but if that happens to be too fast for you, just pause the video, you'll be able to read the text fine. Also, that guy sitting next to Tintin looks like Fu Manchu. That's awesome. So, casual racism aside, let's get started. Now, Tintin behaves just like any other platform character. He can walk, he can run, and he can jump. But if you press down, rather than ducking, he walks into the foreground. Doesn't work in every situation, but it is damn useful to avoid things like these packages that are being thrown out of train windows by these Chinamen. I have no idea why they're throwing them out. Maybe they're drug dealers trying to get rid of their leftover stash. Or opium dealers, I should say. You also have to avoid these children, which you just avoid by running into the foreground. Most things can be avoided by running into the foreground, but not everything. Running into the foreground is also useful because you can use it to speak to characters that are hanging out in the foreground, like this guy, who looks suspiciously like the guys that were just trying to kill us with the parcels. Whatever. General rule of thumb in Tintin, if it moves, there's a good chance it can hurt you. Tintin can also interact with objects on the ground by going up to them and pressing down when he's right next to them. You can walk around, or you can throw them by pressing Y. I don't know why Tintin can do this, maybe he used to be a Chinese labourer. That was a totally uncalled for racist comment and I apologise. But these boxes are kind of needed to beat the level. How the hell did that hit me? How the hell did that in the month of Sundays hit me? Fortunately, it doesn't matter too much because if you have the box and you do need it to beat the level, you can go up here to a hidden stash. And the hidden stash leads to a golden apple, which rather than in the Great Miss, it gave you eternal life. Here, it just gives you a point of health back. Tintin has 4 points of health, as indicated by the scroll in the top left-hand corner of the screen, so he can take 4 hits of damage before he dies. But not everything will kill you. Will give you 1 hit when you hit it. Some will give you 2, and some will kill you instantly. That aside, we now jump into the polluted Chinese river. I assume it's supposed to be the Yangtze. Those damn Chinese and their pollutants. And that damn Donkey Kong, who appears to have thrown his used barrels into the river, just to give us an added hazard to avoid. Thanks, DK. Much appreciated. There's also dead trees to avoid, and obviously this is an auto-scrolling segment. You can't control Tintin's speed or anything like that. But it's not too hard. The main problem is to avoid those goddamn sludge whirlpools, because they're kind of random, have a huge hitbox, and will pop out of freaking nowhere. But luckily, it's not too hard, and once you get to the drowning Chinese child, you automatically swim up to him and save him. And then you give him the kiss of life, no homo. Having saved the kid, you find out his name is Chang. Now, Chang was a character that first appeared in the story Tintin and the Blue Lotus. He was actually based on one of Hergé's childhood friends. Believe it or not, in real life. And believe it or not, that whole first level was a flashback set in Tintin and the Blue Lotus. Yes, despite the fact this game is called Tintin in Tibet, Infogrames thought it was a good idea to pad out their game by having a sequence taken from another book. I have no words to describe how I feel right now. It's just half-assed, like, oh, we only have 13 levels. Well, let's crowbar another Tintin book into it willy-nilly. Although I suppose it does kind of have significance, because it kind of tells you who Chang is. Otherwise, you'd be like, well, who the hell is Chang, if you didn't read the books or watch the cartoon? You should have, because it was awesome. But if you didn't, then you wouldn't have the faintest clue what I'm babbling on about. Let's move on. There's also dogs to avoid. This level and the one before it is kind of just an basic introduction to the game mechanics. It's nothing too difficult. If you're concentrating, you shouldn't get hit much or at all. Although these yappy dogs can be kind of annoying. The luggage can be kind of annoying. Anything in this game that can hurt you can be kind of annoying. In the top right hand corner of the screen we have a clock, and if that reaches the top and starts ringing, you'll lose a life. And now we come to one of the coolest characters in Tintin history, Captain Haddock. Seriously, Captain Haddock was awesome, and those eyes that Tintin is making in that picture are kind of freaking me out, it has to be said. And that right there is an example of why Captain Haddock is awesome. Seriously, in the Tintin cartoon, he was the closest thing to God. The way he talked was awesome, the way he sort of acted, he was quite often drunk, but he was still a loyal friend to Tintin. But perhaps best of all was the way he used to swear. Now, it may not sound like swearing to you because it just doesn't sound like swearing, but whenever Haddock was kind of annoyed, he would shout things like, blue blistering barnacles and thundering typhoons. I cannot think of a better way to swear. Perhaps because it doesn't even sound like you're swearing, unless you happen to have the misfortune to run into a Tintin fan, another Tintin fan, in which case they'll probably slap you across the face for daring to besmirch the name of Haddock with your primitive tongue. I'm going off on a huge tangent here, but that's because these first two levels of the game don't really have too much to talk about. I'll just talk a little bit about Tintin then. Tintin, the dashing man in the blue sweater, is a reporter stroke adventurer, and this guy is another recurring character from the cartoon, Professor Calculus, who doesn't actually appear in Tintin in Tibet, apart from a dream sequence where Haddock sort of hallucinates, and then Calculus bops him on the head with his umbrella. But that doesn't. Other than that, he doesn't appear. And this sequence is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, it's kind of taken from the cartoon about it happens in a restaurant, but Tintin falls asleep, has a vision or a dream, never really specified which of the two he has, of Chang alive and trapped in a snowstorm. And just because he has that vision or dream, right, Tintin decides to drop everything and go to Kathmandu. And he's not going to Kathmandu alone, oh no. He's dragging poor Snowy and Captain Haddock along for the ride, on a complete wild goose chase. And I think that's where we're going to leave it. So thank you for watching part 1 of Let's Play Tintin in Tibet. Join me next time for part 2. I've been Rainiac, bye for now.